Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be going over an active learning strategy for learning the vessels. And the vessels are confusing. A lot of students have trouble with them. What I want you to think about when you're learning the vessels is that vessels are like streets. When you're driving down the street, you can't just turn off the street into the middle of the woods. You have to turn onto another street. And if you're going down a big street, when that street splits, it splits into two smaller streets. Or sometimes if you're driving down a small street and that street comes together with another street, they merge into a larger street. And vessels are very much the same way. So I have an active learning strategy here for you guys, and it basically involves a lot of drawing. And I know the drawings in most of the books are very complicated. We're going to start drawing using just lines for the vessels. So we're going to start with the heart kind of looking, I don't know, like that. And we're going to do arteries first because arteries are leaving the heart. So the main artery that leaves the top of the heart is the aorta. And we all know that it kind of looks like this. It's got a big arch, and then it goes back down behind the heart, and then it continues down until it passes through the diaphragm. And we all remember that the diaphragm is the landmark between the thoracic cavity and the abdominal pelvic cavity. So this aorta has a couple of different names. When it's leaving the heart and it's going up towards the head, we call that the ascending aorta. When it's coming back down, it's called the descending. And once it passes through the diaphragm, it's now called the abdominal aorta. So we have a couple of branches up here. We have three main branches. The first one is called the brachiocephalic artery, and it kind of comes off like that. And think about the word brachiocephalic. I'm going to write it over here because this is going to be really messy in a little bit. So brachio, the brachial region of your body, is your arm, and cephalic is your head. So the brachiocephalic artery is going to branch off of here and is going to bring blood to the right side of the body, to the arm and the head region. The next one that branches off is going to be called the left common carotid. Now the reason it's called common is because it's going to split again. So anytime you have a vessel that's about to split into two other vessels, they often call it common. So the common carotid is going to go up the neck into the head area, and then it's going to split into the internal and external carotid arteries. Now, those are not on your list, so you don't have to worry about it, but just keep in mind the reason it's called common is because it's going to split. Our last branch coming off, the third branch, is going to be the left subclavian artery. And think again, sub means under, clavian means clavicle. So it's going to go under the clavicle and out towards the left arm. Now you might be wondering, well, what about the right arm? Remember our right brachiocephalic artery right here? It's not actually called the right brachiocephalic. There's no left brachiocephalic. So we just call it the brachiocephalic, but it does go to the right side of the body. And it actually branches into the right common carotid and the right subclavian artery. So now we've pretty much taken care of getting blood to the head on the left side, to the head on the right side, to the arm on the right side, and the arm on the left side. We've also taken care of getting blood down into the abdominal area. So when you go through the diaphragm, the first major vessel that leaves the abdominal aorta is called the hepatic artery. The hepatic artery brings blood to the liver. Our next set of branches off of the abdominal aorta are going to be the left and right renal arteries, and they're going to go to the kidneys. The abdominal aorta is going to continue and then branch into two arteries. This is called the left and the right common iliac artery. And remember, it's got the word common in it, so we know it's going to branch. And in fact, it does. It branches into a very small internal iliac artery and a much larger external iliac artery. The external iliac artery is going to go basically until the leg starts, and then it's going to become same vessel, but it's going to be called the left femoral artery at this point. And remember, the femur is the major bone in the top part of the leg. So pretty much where the groin is, right here, we're going to have the switch from the left external iliac artery to the left femoral artery. And it's the same on both sides. So we have an internal iliac artery, a right internal iliac artery, and a right external iliac artery. And this is going to keep going and become the left popliteal artery, and then it'll split low down here, and it'll become the tibial and fibular arteries. Okay, so now we've been able to bring blood to the head and to the arms and through the abdomen and down to close to the bottom of the feet. We don't cover the feet in this class. But now we have to bring blood back up from the bottom. How do we bring blood back to the heart? We bring it back in a vein, and so I'm going to use a blue pen for veins. And I'm going to do most of my labeling on this side to try and keep it not so crazy. Okay, so we've got our right femoral artery here, and it's going to split around the knee. We also have the right femoral vein, and it's going to run right next to the right femoral artery. And remember, sometimes it's hard to get blood back up against gravity to the heart. It's at very, very low pressure, and we're moving up against gravity. So we actually have another vessel that's going to come in to the right femoral vein, and that's going to be called the right great saphenous vein. And this is a very, very long vein. It goes all the way down towards the foot. As the right femoral vein comes into the body, passes through the groin area, it's now going to be called the right external iliac vein. So it's basically running just parallel to the right external iliac artery. We're going to come up and it's going to join with the right internal iliac vein to form the right common iliac vein. So it's exactly the same as the arteries. We're just going this direction. We're going up back towards the heart. So let me label a couple of those things. Okay, we've got them all labeled out. Right femoral vein merges with the right great saphenous vein. As it moves into the abdominal cavity, or the pelvic cavity really, it's going to become the right external iliac vein. That's going to merge with the right internal iliac vein to form the right common iliac vein. And as it continues to move up through the abdominal cavity, now it's called the superior vena cava. We also have merging with the left and right renal veins. And we're going to move up through the diaphragm and into the right side of the heart, into the right atrium. Okay, so now we've brought blood back from the foot, at least on the right side. Same thing happens on the left. But what about up here, the arms and the head? Well, we've got to get blood back, and we actually bring it back in the superior vena cava. So remember, this is the inferior vena cava. This is going to be the superior vena cava. And the superior vena cava is made up of the merging of the right and left brachiocephalic veins. But I don't want to start here and move out. I want to start out here and move in, because that's the way blood is actually going to be coming. So if we have a right subclavian artery that's taking blood that direction, we actually have a right subclavian vein that's bringing blood back in this direction. So the right subclavian vein is going to be joined by two vessels, the external and internal jugular veins. So the one on the outside, more laterally, is going to be the right external jugular. And the one on the inside is going to be the right internal jugular vein. And then once these have all come together, this forms the right brachiocephalic vein. It joins together with the left brachiocephalic vein to make the superior vena cava. Okay, so where did the left brachiocephalic vein come from? Same place. We're going to have a left subclavian vein running alongside the left subclavian artery, and it's going to join in with the left internal and left external jugular veins to make that left brachiocephalic. So here's the right brachiocephalic, here's the left brachiocephalic, here's the superior vena cava. So now we've been able to bring back blood from the brain in the right external and right internal and
left internal and left external jugular vein.
And all of those merge together on their respective sides to make the brachiocephalic veins, left and right, and those merge together to form the superior vena cava. Not a left and right of that one, only one of those ones. And we're going to bring the blood back into the right atrium as well. Okay, so this kind of looks like a mess, doesn't it? But I can tell you that going through this exercise and looking at pictures and Googling what these things look like will help you remember what goes where. I'm adding this portion to the video. Every semester I have a few students that do not read the directions for the vessel roadmap activity very well. The directions clearly state to only put arteries on one page and veins on the other page. However, since in my original video I put them together on the same page, a lot of people either don't read those directions or don't think that they have to follow them. The reason those directions are there is because I cannot tell what you're drawing when there's too many lines on these maps. So I wanted to reiterate, do not put the veins and the arteries on the same page. If you do that, you will get a 0 on the assignment and all the work that you're doing will be for naught. I also wanted to add just the veins. So I'm going to start over with just the vein map. Here's the heart. When we're bringing blood back to the heart from the lower body, we're going to be coming up in the inferior vena cava. And we all know that the inferior vena cava brings deoxygenated blood back to the body, back to the right atrium. Also coming back to the right atrium is the superior vena cava. That's bringing blood back from the head and the arms back to the right atrium. Starting on the right side, we have the right subclavian vein, which is going to merge with two vessels. The first one is the external jugular vein. The second one is the internal jugular vein. All those vessels merge together to form the right brachiocephalic vein. Coming from the left side of the body, we have the left subclavian vein, which merges with two other vessels. Coming from the head, the left external jugular vein and the left internal jugular vein. Those all merge together to form the left brachiocephalic vein. Remember, all of these vessels are bringing blood back to the heart. The right and the left brachiocephalic vein merge to form the superior vena cava, and in this way we are able to bring blood back from the head and the arms to the right atrium. If you look back at your color the heart diagram from last week, you will see that the left and right brachiocephalic veins were what you circled that merged together to form the superior vena cava. You should be able to walk through blood flow through the body by saying ascending aorta, aortic arch, descending aorta, abdominal aorta, passes the hepatic artery, passes the left and right renal artery, splits into the left and right common iliac artery. Left common iliac artery splits into the left internal and left external iliac artery, continues through the groin into the left femoral artery. Coming back, right femoral vein, I use a blue one, right femoral vein merges with the right great saphenous vein, moves into the pelvic cavity in the right external iliac vein, merges with the right internal iliac vein to form the right common iliac vein, goes through the abdominal cavity on the superior vena. Oh, this is superior, shoot. That's inferior vena cava. Ugh, inferior vena cava. Past the right and left renal veins, up through the diaphragm into the right atrium on the inferior vena cava. So go ahead and see if you can draw this out and label everything. It's a really good active learning activity. The first time you do it, you're going to need some kind of labeled drawing to get all these things down. But the next time you do it, guess what you should start with? That's right, a blank piece of paper. See what you can remember. Even if you get the first 4 vessels, you might be doing better than you were before. Good luck.
See you in class.